Welcome, welcome everyone. So excited for today's Abundance Codes Masterclass. Again, this masterclass is all about how you can begin to learn how to use your own unique chart and look at your own unique abundance codes so that you can build lasting wealth and financial abundance for yourself. This is such a subject that is so close to my heart, especially because right now we just had the Virgo new moon eclipse. We're here on the autumn equinox today. And there is so much going on in the world at this time. Whether you're watching this right now or watching the replay, there is a lot going on. Emotional intensity is going on, political upheaval, things feel chaotic, disconnected, emotionally intense, what's going on. And I really got the idea to do this master class after just doing, a business and astrology retreat in Greece with a bunch of women, really high touch luxury experience. And then literally coming off of this like high of working with business strategy and working with astrology to expand abundance, and then coming back into the real world and seeing how chaotic things are, and just being like, how can we as women start talking about how no matter what's going on in the external world, no matter how much political chaos there is or emotional intensity is going on in our personal lives, with family, with friends, partners, whatever, how can we still be so grounded in our own unique abundance codes that no matter what is going on externally, whether there is chaos, whether we are exhausted, whether there's the emotional intensity that eclipse season can bring, being so grounded that we can actually flourish during these times of upheaval and chaos and things like that. So I will get more into that as we go on today, but just wanted to give a background of where this class came from and really why this is important. Like, why are we talking about this now? There's so much happening, and the more that you can know about your unique capacity to build wealth and to build a foundation of stability beneath you, the better prepared you are to meet whatever is going on in the world over these next few years. Okay? So, hello to everyone, whether you are new here or whether you've been in my world for a while. I'm Ashley Rose. I'm a human design reader, astrologer, and feminine energy and business mentor. My background is in international business and human rights and environmental law. I worked as an international sustainability attorney for years, and although I loved that work so much, at the end of it, I was burned out. I was exhausted. You know, that same story, especially once you hit your mid 30s and you can no longer work like you used to in your 20s, especially if you are in a very masculine energy and just trying to keep up like the 9 to 5 or the 9 to 7, something had to give. So, starting in about 2020, I started really delving deeply into manifestation work, feminine energy work. I'd been doing astrology for like 15 years, but became a professional astrologer, things like that. And I was able to turn around my entire life going from working as a full-time lawyer to now working as a full-time entrepreneur with multiple businesses, making multi six figures with my family, and at the same time, mastering the art of feminine radiance, all while learning some of the things that I'm teaching you guys all today. And again, for those of you who are new here, today's master class is a part of the new moon workshops that we do every single month as part of our monthly moon membership, the Bloom Collective. So, like I said, I've been studying my chart for years, and I'm going to be giving you guys some of the exact codes that I used specifically when I was launching one of my new companies, which ended up making six figures within 4 months of launching. I used these same codes to do that. So, this is what I'm giving you guys today. And why are we doing this over the Virgo new moon eclipse? Those of you who've been in my world for a while, you know how obsessed I am with eclipse energy. Eclipse energy amplifies our manifestation power, ladies. That's just it. If you are someone that is doing business strategy and energetic work, ritual, ceremony, understanding the master power days of each year, eclipse energy days, and then also the solstices and the equinoxes, those are some massive days that you can use to really pump up any ritual that you're doing or any energetic work that you're doing to really help your manifestations just quantum leap and expand. Again, like I said, I launched a company on the winter solstice of 2023 and hit that six figures within 4 months. And I absolutely put it down to the fact that I launched it with the winter solstice and not just like some random Monday, right? So the more that we can learn to work with cosmic rhythms, the more that we can expand our individual and also collective capacity to create and sustain true wealth from a place of alignment and grace. I don't want you guys just like going out and creating businesses or working for companies because everyone, in this world is really ambitious. but then you're getting burned out like I was. You're getting exhausted. You can't keep up with the grind. Your body is screaming at you, no, 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 I don't want to do this anymore. We are learning ways, a new feminine paradigm of making more money, of creating more wealth, of creating more safety for ourselves and for our families, but working with the rhythm of the cosmos and working with the alignment of our own individual human design and astrology birth charts. Okay. And the reason why we're talking about this specifically on the Virgo new moon eclipse, which actually occurred yesterday on the 21st, Virgo is the sign of the harvest. Virgo is an earth sign, a sign that knows how to build wealth and abundance through sacred systems and grounded wisdom. Virgo is also known as the sign of the high priestess. So everything I'm teaching you today is very much in alignment with the energy that is around us right now in the cosmos. And if you're watching the replay, this still applies to you because this energy is being created at this time. Okay. And then also today, the 22nd of September, is the autumn equinox or spring equinox, depending on where in the world you are. We do have some Australian ladies and things like that in our network. And again, the equinoxes and the solstices, these are one of four power days that we have each year. Regardless of your background or where your ancestors are from, they probably acknowledge the solstices and the equinoxes at some point. These are days that we've been doing high ceremony, high manifestation rituals for thousands of years. So, meeting today like this, meeting in a group collective like this, talking about abundance, activating our abundance codes, doing group ritual, which we will be doing before the end of this workshop, all literally linking us to every single abundance manifestation ceremony that's like ever happened on an eclipse or an equinox or things like that. So, this is very potent energy, which is why we're having this workshop today. And so again, just acknowledging our current cycle, not going too much into this, but I feel like this is important to honor and acknowledge. For those of you who feel the emotional intensity of right now, who feel like so many things in your life are changing, or you see what's happening in the lives of your family or your friends, and it just feels like a lot is going on, I just want to give you guys the energetic context also that we're currently living in. So we're currently in an 8-year cycle of intense global upheaval, for lack of a better term, that kind of started this year in July of 2025. And so if you already feel like, oh my gosh, this energy is too much, I really want to give you the perspective of this is the beginning of an 8-year cycle. Things are going to continue to intensify and to ramp up. And then eventually, systems will evolve, change, some things will crumble, some new things will be created. That's the whole point of this 8-year cycle that we're in, is to take down some old systems to bring in some new systems. And so even though that might like seem scary or might seem like a lot, just remember that like you're here at this time, you're meant to be here. If you're here, you can handle this. Things will be calm, things will be peaceful again, including even this year, but just have some perspective that we are in this cycle that's taking us into the 2030s. And again, the reason why we are doing this workshop today and doing workshops in the future is because I just want it to be so important for women to understand that even as the world gets more chaotic, we can lean into understanding how to regulate our own nervous systems so that we can flourish during these times, even if everything around us seems to be spinning out of control, and also learning how to maintain and build lasting and sustaining wealth. Something that stands out to me is that even during times of global upheaval, during like World War II and other really, crazy times, even while the collective was going through a rough time, there were always people who were flourishing. There were always people who were doing well. There were always people who were able to create lasting financial stability and a financial legacy for themselves and for their families. And that is what I want for every single one of you. Like I mentioned earlier, my relationship with these kind of manifestation techniques and with feminine energy work and with using astrology specifically for creating abundance and business strategy, that happened for me in 2020 when my family's financial world seemingly fell apart with the rest of the world's, right? And I use that time period to be like, okay, yes, I'm scared, but someone is going to do well out of this. How can I teach myself everything I can about manifestation and abundance using my astrology, using my human design, learning manifestation techniques so that I can actually use this chaotic energy to expand my abundance in life instead of using it to like crush me or depress me. And that, like I said, launched me from full-time lawyer to like full-time priestess and astrologer and entrepreneur. And that is what the perspective that I'm coming with teaching this today as well. Okay, so the world is going nuts, but we're going to be okay. And again, this Virgo new moon eclipse is an amazing portal for us to be working with as far as abundance codes to build that unshakable wealth in our own lives and for our families. So, by the end of this masterclass, you're going to be able to align with your own cosmic wealth blueprint, not aligning with chaotic external events, but aligning with your own unique codes to wealth. You'll be able to use this eclipse energy that we're in right now at this point in time to accelerate your abundance by doing a live activation ritual. We're going to build nervous system capacity to hold more wealth, and you're going to learn how to create income from your higher purpose and not just out of survival fear. Okay, so thriving, not just surviving. That's the energy that we're doing. So, what are these codes that we're talking about today? There's so much that you can look at in your astrology chart that can teach you how you yourself are here to create money, to create abundance, to create luck, to create wealth, to create expansion. And if that's something that you want to know more about, I'm here for one-to-one. You can always just DM me and we can chat. But today, these are the main things we're going to talk about. When looking at your astrology chart, again, if you don't have it, go ahead and download it now so you have it in front of you for the rest of this presentation. But we're going to be talking about your second house, your 10th house, and your Jupiter sign. And if you're new to astrology and you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. We're going to go through it like very, very basic foundational so that you can understand what it is we're talking about and so that you can start looking at these things for yourself as well. Okay. So looking at your second house, your 10th house, and then your Jupiter sign. Each of these birth chart elements creates a unique signature in your chart that only you hold, and they provide clues for the way that your energy naturally attracts wealth, abundance, and financial opportunities. Again, we're not here to play that struggle life of like, yes, you can hustle your butt off and make money. We've all been there and done that. But I want to teach you guys, I want you guys to be able to understand implicitly how you can look at your own chart and know how your energy naturally, without too much force and without too much friction, can create wealth, abundance, and financial opportunities. Something else to note, again, without getting too high level, but if you have any planets in these houses, so if you have any planets in your second house, if you don't, that's fine too. You can still use these elements we're talking about today, 1000%. They apply to everybody. But if you have planets also in these houses, in your second house, your 10th house, or if you have any planets around your Jupiter, if you see any planets conjunct your Jupiter, then these qualities we're talking about today might manifest even stronger within your life. For example, I have my moon conjunct my north node in my second house. So I have two placements in my second house. And so that makes my second house themes even stronger in my life because I have planets and other points there, if that makes sense. So the second house, this is where I want you to have your chart up. Okay. This little graphic here, whatever birth chart you're using, whatever you found online, it might look a little bit different than the one I'm showing you right now. But I like this chart here because it shows very clearly the second house, where it is, how to find it in your chart, and look for that little two if you're not used to looking at your chart. Okay. And just really quickly, we don't have time to go over every single house today. But if you've never really looked at your birth chart before, the birth chart is split into 12 houses. You have 12 houses, and then there's also 12 signs. Every single house in your birth chart deals with a different area of your life. It governs over a different area of your life. So, like your fourth house deals with family, your seventh house deals with marriage and long-term relationships. Your 12th house deals with your subconscious and your spirituality. Your second house, which is one of the main things we're looking at today, is known as the house of money. So I want you to go ahead and look at your second house, and I also want you to look at the sign that shows your second house. Here, you see this little like bull looking thing. The second house is Taurus on this chart. So I want you to find your second house in your birth chart, and I want you to look at the sign that is on your second house cusp, is what we call it. And once you find that, go ahead and drop it in the chat so I can see that you guys are understanding and that you know what I'm talking about and that you guys are able to look at your chart in this way. Okay, so why are we talking about the second house? Again, the second house is the part of your chart that literally deals specifically with money. It deals with money, it deals with your values, also your resources. Property can be seen by the second house and by other houses as well. But the second house in general is traditionally associated with material resources, personal finances, your earned income, like so income you made yourself, not income that somebody else gave you, possessions and values, both material and personal. Your second house governs what you own, how you make money, your relationship with material security, and what you consider valuable or worthwhile in your own life. Because we all have different things we value. Some people want to live in a cabin in the woods, and some people want to be in a high rise in the middle of New York City, right? And you can look at the second house and other things to see that in a chart. So understanding the sign on the cusp of this house is going to provide insights for you specifically on the qualities that you can nurture to expand your capacity to create wealth. I really like to think of astrology as different archetypes, okay? So if you look at the sign that's on the cusp of your second house, that's almost like an archetype that you can embody to bring in more second house opportunities to you. I see a lot of people in the chat are saying Scorpio in their second house, and they have Pluto in Scorpio. Yeah, different things going on. Libra, Sag, Aquarius, amazing. Virgo, Libra, Taurus. Those are all like really strong second houses, by the way. Really interesting. So let's talk about some of these archetypes or some of these second house placements in our charts. If you have Aries in the second house, and if you have that, that means you're a Pisces rising. That's what I have. Your archetype, the entrepreneur, if Aries is in your second house, a way that you can make more money or expand your wealth or naturally attract financial opportunities to you if you have the sign of Aries in your second house. Literally being an entrepreneur, starting your own business, pioneering new markets, taking calculated risks, even. Again, literally the fact that I have Aries in my second house, I have three different businesses, we have seven different businesses between myself and my husband. I've always known that because I studied my chart that I could do entrepreneurship and be successful at it because I have Aries there. Okay, just things as simple as that. If you have Aries there on that second house cusp, sales, leadership could be great for you, innovation, even emergency services. You can make quick wins through taking bold action and really channel competitive energy when it comes to income generating activities for you. Now, let's say you have Taurus on the second house cusp. This is a completely different energy here. And the way that Aries is more fiery and more like taking risks, being calculated, starting new things. Taurus on the second house cusp. You're the steady builder. You can make money, you can expand your wealth through things like real estate, agriculture and natural resources, luxury goods, art and beauty, the financial industry. Taurus is one of those signs of like the banker, like Wall Street. Taurus is one of those signs, also Capricorn too. So if you have Taurus there in your second house, slow and steady wins the race for you when it comes to expanding your wealth. Conservative investment, even looking at long-term growth when it comes to your investments and your tangible assets. Literally, again, building lasting value. Also, investing in like craftsmanship and sensory pleasures, all these very Taurian, very Venusian things. These can be ways that you can create a path to abundance for yourself. I would say overall, if you have Taurus in the second house, something to keep in mind is that, again, that slow and steady wins the race. Do trust gradual accumulation over like get rich quick schemes. In the way that like almost somebody with Aries in the second house, I would be like, they probably have more capacity to do like risky get rich quick stuff. If you have Taurus in the second house there, you want to accumulate value and assets and abundance over time. Slow and steady wins the race for you. If you have Gemini on the cusp of the second house, you are the information broker, anything to do with communications. So, writing, teaching, journalism, media, technology, networking, even having multiple streams of income. If you have Gemini on the second house, anything that has to do with communication can be a way that you can increase abundance in your life. Even looking at things like intellectual property, digital assets, increasing your educational credentials, these are things that can be great for Gemini in the second house. Also, any way that you can monetize your knowledge and communication skills would be great for you because your communication skills is one of your biggest assets as a Gemini and the second house person. If you have Cancer in your second house, you are the intuitive nurturer. Again, real estate can be good for you, like home. Cancer is a sign of the home. Caregiving, so like nursing, therapy, even being a teacher to children, like childcare. Restaurants and hospitality also. There are a lot of chefs, a lot of famous chefs that have strong Cancer placements, like top chefs, things like that. Chefs that win awards. Working in your own family business, whatever that might be. Anything where you're nurturing others, again, like nursing or therapy. And then for you also, because you're intuitive, you're a water sign here for the second house. Making investments that feel intuitive to you can expand your abundance if you have Cancer in the second house. For you, your money style is very emotionally driven, very security focused, very family oriented. You're really about creating a safe haven, a safe space for yourself, for your family, and for others. And really doing things that like protect and provide for loved ones can motivate your ability to accumulate. Okay, I'm looking at the comments here. Yes, there's lots of people. And yes, and even if you don't have planets in your second house, this all still applies to you. The planets just make it even stronger. So if you have Leo in the second house, oh, someone says you're describing my dad, a Cancer, entrepreneur from family business, all about providing. Yep, exactly. That's that Cancer energy. And if you don't have Cancer, if you don't have any planets in the second house, sorry, then you can look at the planet that rules over your second house and see where that is. But again, that's a different level of things. But let's say you don't have any planets in your second house, but your second house is in Aries. Well, Mars rules over the sign of Aries, so you'd look to see where Mars is in your chart, see what house it's in, and that can give you more clues also to how you can make more money. But that's a side note here. I don't want to get too confusing. So if you have a Leo in your second house, Leo, you are the creative wealth builder. If you are a Leo second house, anything to do with entertainment, luxury goods, the creative arts, performance, leadership, personal branding. Again, Leo is the actor, the performer, um, anything to do with a lot of these different types of things for Leo would be great. Creative self-expression. Again, personal branding is great. If you are a Leo second house and like you want to be an influencer or something like that, that would probably go really well for you. Anywhere that you are being personally magnetic and inspiring others, you can probably expand your abundance for Leo second house. Someone says, what about when there's a stellium influence? So much of one style amplified. That means that if you unlock that stellium and you unlock these archetypes, you can like blow up as far as your second house. If you have a stellium in your second house, like if you have like three, four planets there, and you might be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've got three planets in my second house, but like my paycheck is not looking great, Ashley. Spend a year embodying the qualities of your second house, making moves, swallowing your fear, swallowing your pride, and just going along with what it says, you will be shocked at how much abundance you can create. If you have a stellium in your second house, that one of the life lessons you're here to learn is how to create a lot of wealth and abundance. And you might have blockages at first until you do that. Often when we have a stellium, we have sometimes even blockages in the house where we have all that energy until we find a way to like really key into that, embody that. That's like somebody having a seventh house stellium and like not having a long-term relationship. Seventh house is all about relationships until like they uncover something about themselves, they embody a certain energy, and then they have like the love of their life, if that makes sense. Okay, yeah, someone's saying Taurus rules my second house, so I'll check my Venus sign. Yeah, exactly. Someone else says they have a lot of things going on in their second house. Part of fortune, Saturn, Uranus. Yep, you are here to make cash. Lucky you. Okay, Virgo. If you're a Virgo in your second house, you are the efficient accumulator. Okay, Virgo loves efficiency. So if you have this sign in your second house, anything to do with healthcare, it could be amazing. I know a lot of nurses and people who work in the medical industry who are have strong Virgo placements. The service industry, anything with analysis, efficiency consulting, problem solving, attention to detail, managerial roles, process improvement. Virgo in the second house loves all these things, and that is one way that you can expand your abundance if you are there. Anything that has to do with problem solving or process improvement, research, being practical, Virgo second house, that will really, really be expansive for your abundance through that. Also, as far as like wealth building for you, Virgo, again, steady savings, practical investments. This is not a get rich quick type of energy for the second house. This is like being really practical, setting practical goals, working steadily toward your objective, very similar to the Taurus energy that we talked about earlier because they are both earth signs, so they have a lot of similarities there. Okay. Libra. I call this the partnership queen. If you have Libra in your second house, anywhere where you are engaging in partnerships, collaborations, you have the ability to expand your abundance in that way. Art and design, law, diplomacy, again, luxury services, anywhere where you're creating harmony or aesthetics like, interior design or something like that. Joint ventures, again, that partnership quality again, even marriage partnerships. Somebody with Libra in the second house, they could find that they can make money through marriage. And then socially responsible investing because Libra is also the sign of justice. So if you have Libra in the second house, I would recommend that you look at ways that you can collaborate with other people, form business partnerships. Also, this is great for like beauty focused earnings. Like if you're very artistic or creative or into design or aesthetics in any way, again, law, any of those things. Great way for you to expand your abundance. Also, anything to do with like joint ventures or again, marriage partnerships. That could be another way. So just dropping that in there for you. Scorpio in the second house. And I know that several people in the chat also said that they have Scorpio in the second house. So anything to do with transformation. I call this the transformer archetype. If you have Scorpio in the second house, anything to do with psychology, deep research, investment itself is a very Scorpio topic. So I would definitely recommend that you like start investing in the stock market, cryptocurrency, things like that if you have Scorpio in the second house. Even crisis management, even the occult, any kind of deep research, even like detective or investigation. And when I think of Scorpio, energy in the second house. Literally, you could be like a police detective or an investigator of some way, or like working as like a shaman, or working as a like psychologist or psychotherapist or something, or doing deep research in some way, very scholarly. This is a way that you can expand your abundance. You go deeply into topics and you become an expert at things, and that is a way that you can do that. Something else, Scorpio is one of the money signs, I'd say. So having Scorpio in the second house is a strong placement. This is another sign where you can do high risk, high reward. Just like I was saying that for the Aries second house people earlier, if you have Scorpio in the cusp of the second house, this is where I would recommend maybe you have a more aggressive stock portfolio as far as your, high yield investments and things like that, if that's something that you're into. Also, like buying low during like crisis situations. Like, think about all the people during 2008 were like, we had the housing crash and most people were like selling. But if you were someone that was lucky enough to have the resources and you bought at that time during a crisis, now you'd be sitting pretty on a lot of money. That's very like Scorpio second house energy. This is the kind of person that can use their investigation skills to uncover profitable opportunities. So if you have a Scorpio in the second house, I would recommend that you like really start researching and thinking about like what in your life interests you as far as like money or abundance. What are the different industries or stocks that you're interested in and start looking into them. And if something is really calling to you, like start investing in it. I would say investment is coming up for me a lot for this placement. Really start investing if that's something that you can do. So Sagittarius on the second house cusp. This is the adventurer. So education, travel, publishing, international business, philosophy, teaching or being a professor, anywhere where you're inspiring others. I'm thinking about like TED Talks right now. International markets and emerging economies. These are great if you have Sagittarius in the second house. If you have your money style there, it's probably very optimistic, very expansive, also very internationally minded. If you have Sagittarius in the second house, I would really recommend you investing in international businesses or being involved in international business in some way yourself as well. Again, this is great for travel, publishing. So you could be like a travel influencer or something like that. Publishing your own books, publishing your own podcast, education of any type, anywhere where you're inspiring other people, you're doing that bigger picture thinking and really expanding your own horizons is a way to really open your own financial doors as well. For Capricorn, so this is goat energy, right? If you have Capricorn in the second house, you would excel in traditional business, in management, real estate. This is another one for Capricorn. Traditional industries, long-term planning, anywhere where you're building your own personal authority. This is very like boss energy, like being a boss, being a manager. Working in government can be great for you if you have Capricorn in the second house. And working for like established companies, like Fortune 500 companies, things like that, can be great for you if you have Capricorn in the second house. Your money style is very disciplined. You're very goal oriented, likely, and maybe even status conscious when it comes to wealth building. Again, when it comes to you, in the same way that I talked about the other earth signs, probably more conservative growth is better for you. So get rich quick schemes or like really risky stock investments, I probably wouldn't really recommend for somebody with Capricorn in the second house unless they have other things going on. But slow and steady growth of your assets over time, you also really climbing the corporate ladder could be really good for you. And then building your reputation and your assets methodologically could be really great for you. Okay, so just like setting really clear financial goals and then working steadily toward them is really good for somebody with that second house Capricorn energy. If you have Aquarius on the second house cusp, here, you're the innovator. So anything to do with technology is a great investment for you or a great industry for you to work in. Social causes, innovation, community or group endeavors, future focused things, AI, networking, humanitarian causes, cryptocurrency. I have someone that I work closely with and they have very strong Aquarius placements and they literally just started their own AI company. That is perfect for somebody with that type of energy. And they also started their own app. Okay, so like working with tech, working with innovative things, working with AI, really good if you have Aquarius there in the second house. Anywhere where you're kind of ahead of the curve and you're kind of looking like to the future is really good if you have Aquarius second house energy. And then we have Pisces, and this is the healer. Okay, so if you have Pisces in your second house, anything to do with therapy, counseling, energy healing, massage, meditation, anything to do with like giving spiritual guidance to other people. Also the arts, music, art, photography, writing, film, even marine, since Pisces is involved with, Neptune and ocean and the water. So people can have a career working in like marine or working with the ocean. And then beverages can be really good if you have Pisces second house energy. Here, I would say that this is also a very, very intuitive sign, just like we talked about with Cancer earlier. And so if you have Pisces on the second house cusp, this is also the person that traditional like business or like money advice might not always work great for you. For you, I would say to really work on strengthening your intuition and then following what your intuition is telling you as far as like where you should be investing, what career moves you should be making, how you should be spending your money, what opportunities you should be going after, what opportunities you should not be going after. Really not so much following like the traditional like business strategy path all the time, but really getting really deeply rooted in your own intuition when it comes to your approach to money. And then also, again, very service oriented. You're healing people, you're working with people in therapy, you're creating music, art, dance, things like that. Really trusting your intuition while also learning practical money management skills would be great for you. Okay. Whew. That was the second house. Now let's look at the 10th house. Okay. I call that the house of becoming here. The 10th house in astrology is typically known as the house of career and public reputation. It's literally where, again, your personal talents meet the world's needs and where you can have the capacity to create both professional success and lasting abundance. Again, showing with this diagram here how to find your 10th house in your own chart. It's the house at the very, very top of your chart. It's at the zenith there. It's this house here that's colored in red, so you should see a little 10 somewhere, depending on what program you're using to look at your free chart. But find the sign that is on the cusp of that house. In this chart here, it's the sign of Capricorn. But the 10th house is important when we're talking about wealth building and abundance because it really shows how your reputation and your professional standing can create lasting abundance in your life. Again, it's how you're building wealth through like achievement and your place in society and being recognized and really creating something bigger than yourself. People that like leaders, politicians, executives, really big public figures, they all tend to have really strong 10th house placements if you're looking at their natal charts. So this is really where your career itself becomes a vehicle for creating your lifetime, your legacy building. What is it that you create in this lifetime that is going to be left after you're gone? That really is something that the 10th house can help you do. Can you share about looking at the astrology chart and whole sign versus Placidus for working with the energy? So for me, Sarah, good question. I work with both. If I'm doing just general chart readings, I tend to do whole sign houses. That's when astrology was created back, thousands of years ago. It was whole sign houses. Placidus is a newer house system. However, I find that either one can work. I feel that when we are looking at transits and we're trying to predict like what can happen in our lives, I feel like whole sign houses are more reliable, especially if you're looking at like where Jupiter is transiting in your chart right now, or like what house is the Virgo new moon eclipse falling into my chart. I use whole sign houses for that. However, if you are looking at like the inner world of someone, like they're almost like their psychological profile or how somebody's feeling inside, I find Placidus to be really good for that. I don't know why, but that's just what I've noticed. But again, that's a caveat. And for this workshop, I'm using whole sign houses. This is what I use when I'm doing my work. When we're talking about like what's actually happening in your life on the outside, whole sign houses is what I use. I feel like Placidus is really good for like your internal world and like how you feel the world is impacting you. But again, I don't want to talk too much about these things in this really basic workshop because some people are probably already like, what are they talking about? But that's okay. Take what you can get and leave the rest, ladies. That's totally fine. So let's look at our 10th house. And again, as you become more advanced, you can start using different house systems too and literally test like, okay, in Placidus, my ninth house is being activated, and whole sign, my 10th house is being activated. Which one is most relevant in my life right now? You can start testing it yourself and seeing how it sits for you. I tend to look at both, but I feel like whole sign is always going to be really good for like what's going on externally. But okay, 10th house through the signs. You're going to start seeing some of the same themes because, again, what the signs are in astrology, what the planets are, they're archetypes. We're talking about universal archetypical energy and how it wants to be expressed individually through you as a person, literally down to the minute that you were born. Okay, so you're going to see a lot of the same words for the same signs that we saw with the second house because the energy is the same. It's just being expressed in a different way. So if you have Aries, in your 10th house. Again, and if you know your 10th house sign, go ahead and drop it in the chat just so I can know that you guys are understanding how to read your chart and like what's going on. I saw someone already put their 10th house is in Capricorn. That's good. Go ahead and put your 10th house in the chat, the sign that your 10th house is in. So if you have Aries in the 10th house, again, as far as your career, because we're talking about career when we talk about the 10th house, you are a pioneer when it comes to your career. So again, entrepreneurship, even sports, you can make money or have a career in sports, the military, emergency or crisis services, startups can be great for you if you have this Aries 10th house energy. If you have Taurus in your 10th house, you are the builder. Again, real estate can be great for you, agriculture, natural resources, luxury goods. Taurus, again, is associated with Venus. So, luxury things can be a career option for you. Banking and finance can be an option. Hospitality can be an option as far as career. Gemini, the communicator. So, again, if you have Gemini in the 10th house, media, education, technology, communications, publishing, sales of any type can be amazing for you with this 10th house energy. Cancer in the 10th house, the nurturing authority. Healthcare, childcare as a career, real estate, hospitality, food. Again, we talked about Cancer being associated with a lot of like top chefs and things like that. And counseling can be an option for you as well. If you have a Leo in the 10th house, a lot of performers and actors and really famous people have 10th house Leo energy. So, working in entertainment, working in luxury goods, high-end fashion, creative arts, leadership, consulting, Leo in the 10th house, all of that can be relevant for you. Also, acting, being on stage, dancing, any of that. Okay, I'm seeing more 10th house Capricorn, Leo, 10th house, Gemini, and Chiron. Another Gemini, 10th house, Taurus, Scorpio. Okay. Virgo, again, efficiency, expertise. So if you have Virgo in the 10th house, healthcare can work for you. Consulting, analysis, administration of any sort, tech services, process improvement can be great for you as a career with that going on. If you have Libra in the 10th house, this is a sign of the diplomat. So law can be an option for you. Design, fashion, again, partnerships of any sort, diplomacy, luxury services. If you have Scorpio in the 10th house, again, the investigator. So anything to do with psychology, research, investments, detective work, surgery, crisis management, occult services. Any of that can be relevant if you have Scorpio in the 10th house. I have a friend that has Pluto and Scorpio in the 10th house, and she literally is like a high-end lawyer that does like investigative work for her clients and lots of research. She does appellate research. Sagittarius in the 10th house. This is what I have. So this is the professor archetype. So anything to do with education, publishing, international business, travel, philosophy, all of that can be amazing for Sag in the 10th house. And I literally work with women and teach women about astrology and business and human design. That is me living out my Sagittarius 10th house energy, even doing this workshop today with you guys. This is how all of this can start to make sense. You start to put the keys together. You don't have to actually just be a professor, but you can start pulling in these elements into your life once you understand what your individual energy archetype is. If you have Capricorn in the 10th house, this is the executive archetype energy. So anything to do with business, finance, real estate, government, again, corporations can be great for you. Aquarius, you are the revolutionary, that innovator. So anything to do with technology or tech services, anything to do with social enterprises, innovation, anything to do with groups or community building, because Aquarius is that sign of community. And then again, anything to do with the future, AI, medical tech, all of that. If you have Aquarius in the 10th house, definitely look into how these different themes and topics might play into your life as a way to create more wealth for yourself. And then Pisces in the 10th house. This is the archetype of the visionary, the healing arts, spirituality, the creative arts, counseling, nonprofit work, any of that can be amazing for you if you have Pisces in the 10th house. So, before we go on to the next section here, where we talk about our Jupiter, because we're going to get really deeply into that, I want anyone to either write in the chat or feel free to even be brave and come on screen and talk about any insights you might have just had learning about your second house energy or your 10th house energy and how this might be related to you increasing your capacity to magnetize wealth and abundance into your life. Who has any insights, any downloads, any like, oh, great, I'm already doing this, or this is giving me some ideas of things I can do? Go ahead, Sari.
There we
Sari.
go. Sorry.
Hi. Hi,
I'm
darling.
normally not on my phone, and I'm like, where is everything? Okay, really quick. I can't get my camera to work. Sorry.
Right.
But I've been thinking a lot since our retreat in Greece about partnerships and like leaning into that, and it just like there's this like calmness and I don't know, foundational quality for me. And I hadn't really, but I didn't know like that's totally my second house, which is so interesting. So
Yes, because your second house is Libra, right?
yeah.
And
So
so
I was
yeah,
like, oh.
partnerships and collaboration is like a really easy way for you to make money.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
let's do more of that.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. No, once you start learning these things, it's like, oh, aha, again, you can make money 8,000 different ways, but understanding the ways that money can come really easily to you, that's the work we're doing today. So thank you for that comment, Sari. That's perfect. Man deep, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, sorry, my camera's off.
Good plan for Virgo
Sorry.
eclipse.
I know, right? Yeah, no, I find it really interesting, like, because my 10th house is in Capricorn, so I work for the government as a lawyer, but I'm like
Yep.
in senior management, so it feels very,
Yep.
yeah, it feels very aligned, but also starting a business too. It's interesting. I'm thinking more about my second house being in Taurus and
Yeah.
thinking about how do I kind of utilize that? Because I've been thinking a lot about actually investments
Yes.
as well as like income streams, like having different income streams and
Yep.
and having that. So, and then I noticed my Venus, I think, is in my eighth house, Scorpio, which is all about like, mysticism, healing, spiritual sort of transformational work, which is one thing that I'm thinking
Mm.
of doing as
Yeah.
well. It's like I'm kind of like I see myself doing many different things, but I just thought, oh, maybe I need to delve into the Taurus
And you're putting the different
inspiration.
keys together, Mandeep. I literally had to stop myself because this presentation cannot be 3 hours long. I wanted to put the eighth house in here as well. And also
Ah,
Venus, too. I feel like this applies. Look at your eighth house. Anything I've said about any of these signs also applies to your eighth house because that's another way that we make money. It's our second house and our eighth house are two of the money houses. And then I
right.
feel like we're going to talk about our Jupiter here in a minute, but I feel like anything I say about Jupiter also applies to your Venus.
Okay.
So again, I don't want to confuse anyone that is like just learning astrology, but like we learn the frameworks and then we start to put the puzzle pieces together because you're not just like one thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm my sun sign. I'm a Libra." It's like you have 8,000 things going on in your chart.
Mm,
Over time, it's like you put together the 3,000 piece puzzle of yourself as a human being as you learn more and more about your own energy and your own chart. And that's kind of what we're doing today. It's like putting together these different pieces. Okay, you probably know your sun sign if you're here. You might even know your moon sign, your rising sign. Let's talk about your second house. Let's talk about your 10th house. Let's talk about your Jupiter. But then also we can talk about your Venus and your eighth house and all these different things too. So thank you for that, Mandeep. Okay, I saw Sarah and Nina. So those are the final hands, and then we're going to go on to our Jupiter placements. So go ahead, Sarah, and then Nina. Hi, darling. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Did we just lose her?
Nope.
Oh, there you are.
Hi. Yes, I was
Hi.
trying to hit the unmute button and I was trying to find it there. So, it's interesting because I always feel like if just for basics, the life area is kind of like the stage, and then the planets are like the characters there, and then the signs are like their personalities or, the atmosphere of that stage. So, I guess I didn't always register that my 10th is Pisces,
Yeah.
but it makes a lot of sense for what my career and my day jobs have been and what I naturally gravitate to and what people suggest I go do.
Like
And so now,
nonprofits and spirituality and things like that.
yes, nonprofit, creative arts. And I had always gone off of something else to look at my career, and now it makes a lot more sense. And just we're moving into Jupiter and Venus and so on. And so um, I feel like the way I've seen the personal insights from my second house is just I have such an over amplification of one type of energy, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, for second house, for planetary expressions. Um, and so when it's in one style, how do we make that more work for us versus going upstream, I guess?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. This is all about how to align naturally with our energy in a way that it flows very easily versus doing things that, like I said, we can make money 8,000 different ways, but like how easy does it feel? How easeful does it feel? Or does it feel like friction or difficult? And like we're learning the ways that we can do these things in a way that it feels natural with our own energy.
And then what if we don't relate or strongly identify with it, right? There's that component too.
Yeah, and I would say if that's the case, then I would look at other parts of your chart because whenever there's something that doesn't quite fit, it's because something else might be overriding it. That's what I tend to find.
Mm, okay.
That something
All
else
right.
is coming through even stronger. Or again, sometimes when we have a lot of energy going on, there's almost a blockage there sometimes until we can figure it out.
Right.
I've seen that too. Like the person that has like 5 planets in the seventh house, but like might be single for most of their life, even though the seventh house is all about partnership, right? So then you're like, oh, what's going on? That this person has all this energy in the partnership house, but they don't have long-term partnerships is because something else is going on.
Mm, all
Yeah.
right. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we had one more hand that was raised, Nina, and then we'll go
Yes,
next.
yes, hi.
Hi,
Hi, Lena. Thank you. This is so interesting. And but I'm also feeling pretty confused because um like this is confirming exactly what I'm doing for my bread shop, but what I don't really want to do. Because I feel like I'm an artist and a writer at heart, and
Yes,
maybe
you
even a
are.
spiritual teacher as well. But I work for a consultancy firm, and I want to quit that job. But this is telling me, and I'm just wondering, is this how I make the money?
What placements are we talking about here? Just for
Um,
context.
well, I have the 10th house in Capricorn, and I
Okay.
also have it's also my sun sign and MC. I don't know what that means,
Yeah.
and Venus
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
10th house.
So you can have a lot of energy there, but again, just because we have a lot of energy in one place doesn't mean that that's how it wants to be expressed all the time. There could be other things in your chart overriding so that even though it was natural for you to like go work in consultancy and go work for a company because you have all this Capricorn energy in your 10th house, but there's something else in you that wants to be the artist. There's something else in you that wants to be the creative.
Yeah,
That is also going to be in another part of you. And so we'll talk about the
right.
Jupiter sign, and that could give some insights there. But also, like I was saying, what's going on with your Venus? What's going on with your eighth house? What's going on with your North Node? These are all things that actually build a bigger picture of what our abundance profile looks like, but we can't fit all of that into like a 90-minute workshop, right?
Sure.
And also, I think the biggest thing is even if some of you walk away with more confusion, that's actually a good thing because again, we're not just one type of person. Even if you have a stellium in Capricorn in your 10th house, and that means that you work for a consulting company or you work for a traditional corporation, and you have, whatever, and that isn't one way that your energy expresses itself, there are still dozens of other ways that your energy
Mhm.
wants to express. What is your North Node doing? What is your eighth house doing? What is your sun doing? It's like we are more than just our sun sign. We are more than just our moon sign. It's like so much of astrology these days is like, oh, I'm this Venus, I'm this Jupiter, I'm this whatever, so this must be who I am. We're so complex. And you can literally study your own chart for 100 years and still find new things about it.
Yay, exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Nina. Thank you. And so one last comment saying, through learning here and the activation of our consciousness, what is coming through into our focus? Exactly. This is an activation session. What is coming through for you that is making you think more about how to create more money in your life? That is literally the point of this workshop. Whether you're watching it today under the autumn equinox and the Virgo eclipse, whether you're rewatching it in a year, it's like what little seeds are being planted in your consciousness of ways that you can bring more wealth and more stability and more ease and flow into your life. That is the entire point of this workshop. So thank you for that comment. So in this last part here, before we do our own little activation, so Jupiter, the great benefic. Jupiter is known as the great benefic in astrology. It literally is the planet of abundance, of luck, of optimism, of expansion, of good fortune. Literally, Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system. So all those qualities of the biggest planet is what we were thinking about when we were thinking about Jupiter. Luck, expansion, optimism, abundance. Your Jupiter sign is how you naturally attract abundance into your life and where your greatest opportunities for growth and prosperity lie. So wherever Jupiter is in your chart, it shows where life wants to expand through you, whether that's more wealth, more knowledge, more experiences, more influence, because Jupiter rules over all these things. It really does show your natural capacity for increase and multiplication. It also shows where you're likely to encounter fortunate circumstances, beneficial people, and doors that open more easily. Again, we're working with ease and flow, not with hustle and friction. Okay. And the more that we can embody the qualities of our natural Jupiter, the more that this abundance can tend to flow back to us. So again, you might have had a lot of Capricorn energy, but what if your Jupiter is in Pisces? That's a completely different energy. So let's explore your Jupiter sign and see what that means for you. So go ahead in your birth chart and look for the sign. It literally looks like a 4. That's your Jupiter. So look at what sign your Jupiter is in. And here in this section, we're looking at Jupiter by element. So first, we're going to talk about Jupiter and the fire signs, then the earth signs, and the air signs, and the water signs, because Jupiter and those elements often works in the same way. Go ahead and throw your Jupiter sign in the chat if you haven't already.
Would you mind flipping back to the prior slide just for a sec?
Yeah. Oops. Okay. All good? Okay. So Jupiter in the fire sign. So if your Jupiter is in Aries or Leo or Sagittarius, you have this Jupiter tends to manifest abundance through taking bold action, leadership, inspiration, and taking risks that others won't. So again, what if all of your stuff before was in an earth sign? What if your second house is in Capricorn and your 10th house is in, Virgo or whatever, but then you have Jupiter in a fire sign? You're going to have to mix those two together because the earth signs are all about slow and steady wins the race, but Jupiter in a fire sign is quick, bold action, leadership, inspiration. Jupiter in the earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Again, you can attract abundance through being very practical, building skills, steadily building something with tangible value creation, craftsmanship, things like that, 3D physical things. You might literally maybe you're somebody that creates jewelry or like intricate cabinets or something with Jupiter in an earth sign. Jupiter in the air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, abundance through communication. The air signs are all about communication, networking, ideas, and connecting people. Again, you're a great networker if you have Jupiter in an air sign. And then Jupiter in the water signs. So Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, you can attract abundance through emotional intelligence, through your intuition, through healing, and through deep connections with others. These are the people that tend to be really good at reading other people very deeply. So Jupiter in the fire signs. We'll go through these pretty quickly, but we'll have a chance to explore this further later on if this is something that is interesting to you and you are interested in diving deeper. So Jupiter in the fire signs. If you have Jupiter in Aries, you can create more abundance through taking bold action. So doing something new, trying new things that is not on the beaten path of the traditional way that people do things. You can attract opportunities into your life through being a leader, through taking initiative, through not waiting, through being the first. You can really prosper when you're taking those calculated risks that others won't attempt. So this doesn't mean like do crazy stuff all the time, but if you have Jupiter in Aries or another fire sign, you probably can get away with it more so than somebody with like Jupiter in Taurus or Virgo or Capricorn. The key here, strike while the iron's hot, Hesitating too much can actually block your flow of abundance if you have Jupiter in Aries. And a shadow of this sign is being really impatient, which can lead you to possibly have missed opportunities or like move too prematurely. So that is just a shadow to watch out for. Jupiter in Leo, the next fire sign. You can create more lasting abundance through, again, creative expression and leadership. These are domains that Leo rules over. Okay, remember Leo being the sign of the performer and the artist and like the dancer and the actor and things like that, and also the leader. So if you have Jupiter in Leo, again, looking for opportunities to manifest wealth through entertainment industry, through creativity, through luxury markets, attracting opportunities to yourself by showcasing your own individual talents and inspiring others. Again, if you're a Leo person, you really have some kind of performance level quality that other people want to see that inspires others. How good are you at showcasing those talents to attract opportunities into your life? Your abundance can really flow through your own personal brand, through your ability to be authentic, and your ability to put out your own creative self-expression. Your key, shine your light brightly. Literally, your confidence can attract resources into your field. And then a shadow of this is ego-driven decisions that can lead to like overspending or like making poor investments. Jupiter in Sagittarius, abundance through expansion and wisdom. Again, Sagittarius being like that philosopher, the professor archetype. So here, you can manifest wealth through international business opportunities, through education, through publishing, writing a book, publishing a podcast or a blog. You can attract opportunities into your life through your own optimism, your own attitude, through seizing adventure, or being more of a philosopher. Abundance here flows through things like teaching, traveling, sharing your wisdom in some way. Again, publishing your blog, publishing your podcast, publishing your book, or higher learning in some way, being that teacher, that professor, that guru. The key here is to think big and embrace global perspective. Sagittarius wants to think big. And the shadow here is being over optimistic, and then that leading to like you having unrealistic expectations or overextending yourself in some way. Jupiter in the earth signs. Again, this is completely different energy. Jupiter in Taurus, abundance through steady building. So if your Jupiter is in Taurus, you can create lasting wealth through being patient, through consistent effort over the years, over the decades. You can attract resources through being reliable and doing things that add practical value to other people's lives. Here, your abundance can accumulate slowly but surely, literally like compound interest in a bank account. Here, real estate's great for you, agriculture, luxury goods, or beauty. Your key here is to trust the process and to understand that you're going to make sustainable growth over time versus like get quick gains. And the shadow here is your stubbornness can prevent you adapting to new opportunities. So you might miss new things that come into your quantum fields. Jupiter and Virgo. Here you can create abundance through service and improvement, like process improvement. So you can create wealth opportunities by finding a way to solve practical problems. Like I wouldn't be surprised if the person that invented the Post-it note had like peak Virgo energy. You can attract resources to yourself through expertise, efficiency, and attention to detail. You can prosper in like health, service, analytical industries. And like, again, a key here is to focus on serving others' genuine needs. Again, think about the person who invented the Post-it note. And then the shadow is perfectionism can prevent you from taking action on opportunities when they present themselves because you might like over worry or like self-judge and then miss out. And then finally, Jupiter and Capricorn, abundance through structure and achievement. So here you can create wealth through long-term planning, business building, and authority. Again, Capricorn's really great with like traditional businesses, working with corporations, using your reputation and your expertise and your authority and your disciplined effort over time and creating a proven track record can lead to abundance over time. And then you are really good at working within established systems. So I don't have Capricorn in my 10th house, but my Venus is in Capricorn. And so I've spent a lot of time working in like law or for corporations. I literally was an international business attorney, like working in like I worked in the government for a while. I've lived in DC. So working in like established systems is something that somebody with a lot of Capricorn energy can do really well and make money in. The key here is to play the long game. Again, Capricorn is like that goat energy, like top of the mountain, looking at the horizon for thousands of miles. You're playing the long game. You need to be consistent and be professional over time, but being too cautious is a shadow that can prevent you from capitalizing on opportunities that are timely. Jupiter in the air signs. Okay, Jupiter in Gemini. Again, communication, Gemini, communication and connection. So if your Jupiter is in Gemini, you can manifest wealth through information, through writing. You can be an author. You can be a media broadcast person, a journalist, a teacher. You can attract opportunities to yourself by connecting others, being a networker, being a communicator. You know, you can prosper through also having multiple income streams. Gemini means, two, it's the twins, so two or more income streams and diversifying your interests. Your key here is to be curious. Gemini is a sign of curiosity, ruled by Mercury, and to keep learning. Again, Gemini is a sign all about learning, communicating, things like that. And then the shadow is being too scattered because, again, you want to do more than one thing at once. That can dilute your potential for success. Jupiter in Libra. Again, Libra, partnership and beauty. That's what I want you to remember and walk away with about the Libra archetype, partnership, beauty, and justice. So you can manifest wealth through collaborations, through partnerships, or through things that are aesthetic, like abundance can flow when you're creating beauty in the world, creating harmony, design, things like that. You can attract opportunities by being very diplomatic, having win-win thinking, being charming, being magnetic, and you can really prosper in industries related to art, design, law, things like that. Again, seek collaboration rather than going it alone if you have a lot of Libra energy, and be careful of indecision or people pleasing. Jupiter in Aquarius, innovation, tech. That's what you should think about when you're thinking about anything in Aquarius. So wealth through technology, through social causes, through community, through networking, thinking outside the box, serving collective needs, being a humanitarian. Focus on how your unique gifts can benefit the greater good. And the shadow is detaching yourself from practical concerns because you're being so idealistic and humanitarian. And then finally, Jupiter in the water signs. Jupiter in Cancer, abundance through nurturing and security. So this is one of the signs. Again, Cancer is the home. So wealth through real estate, through the family business, or through caring professions, therapy, nursing, things like that. You prosper also when you follow your intuition about investments and trusting your gut instincts about money or opportunities. And a shadow here is emotional spending because Cancer is one of the emotional signs, or over attaching to security, and that limits your growth potential. Jupiter in Scorpio. Again, transformation and depth. If your Jupiter's in Scorpio, you can literally create wealth through literally the stock market, through investments, through psychology, through research or crisis management. You can prosper when you're helping others through major life transitions, including taboo topics. So like you could be like a sexual therapist or something like that if your Jupiter is in Scorpio. And you literally like make money by helping people deal with their sexuality or things like that. Embracing intensity is key for you. And your shadow is being too obsessed with like controlling those around you, which then can create resistance. And then finally, we have Jupiter in Pisces. And this is what I have. So abundance through intuition and compassion. So here you can literally create wealth through all those Piscean topics: healing, spirituality, creativity, imagination. You can attract resources to yourself through empathy. Intuition is really big here, and through serving others. You prosper again when you're following your inner guidance rather than some rigid like business strategy all the time that might not work as well for you. Your intuition is going to be a big part of how you can create abundance in your life. And then here, really learning how to surrender control and trust the universe is going to be massive for somebody with Jupiter and Pisces. So the key here is to listen to your intuition and act with compassion. And your shadow is lack of boundaries or not bringing forward the practical skills that are needed for the opportunity at hand because you're just like being so woo-woo. You still need those practical skills. And so insights here. We're at the end of the practical part of this workshop before we get into the quick activation. And so I want just one, maybe two people to go ahead and volunteer about what insights have you had related to your second house, your 10th house, or your Jupiter? And more importantly, what next steps might you take to more fully embody your unique codes? What little seeds have been planted from this activation today that you can take forward with you? Go ahead and drop a comment in the chat, or you can go ahead and hop on. I saw Nina's hand.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, for me it all makes sense now. And
oh, good.
it's yeah, my Jupiter sign is Gemini.
Oh, perfect. The writer.
Yeah, and it's so fun to see this combination because it's exactly who I am actually.
Oh,
Because I've always made money working for like big corporations or consultancy firms. But my true nature is actually in the Jupiter sign,
mm,
and that's a relief for me. And I also feel very, it also resonates very much with the networking and
mm.
with the communication as a means. And um, if I'm asked which next steps I will take, that will be it to connect more with others and to communicate.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you,
Oh,
Nina. I'm
me
glad it
too.
all
Thank
makes sense
you.
now. It all makes sense.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my love. Again, we're that 3,000 piece puzzle, right? We have so much complexity to our souls. So, and then I see just Sarah. I'll have Sarah go. Wait, do I see someone else too? Antonia as well. Okay. Sarah and then Antonia. Real quick. And then we'll do our quick activation and then close. So Sarah, go ahead.
Sure. What I loved about today was that with relating to these abundance codes and insights, it helped me understand about what type of outlook to have.
Mm,
Sometimes when we're looking at these things, there's always a desire component, and then we can get really lost in the how. And so
mm,
this provides what's the attitude and outlook I can go into it with. And I feel that that's more supportive than needing to know all
mm,
the super detailed pieces. So for me, it's like, well, okay, as we see how this interplays out in our lives, I know that if I lean into these qualities and this type of outlook, this is where I can feel my best and feel better about approaching these areas, understanding how it works for me, and so on.
beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for that share. I'm so
Thank
glad that
you.
was helpful. And then Antonia. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having this container.
Yeah.
I it was just it honestly was just a great reminder of my multidimensionality because
Yes.
yeah, for some, when you're on the journey, you kind of think that you need to stay in the niche or do this one specific thing. And for me, I got but I have this second house in Sag with that Fortune, Saturn, and Uranus in Sag. And then 10th house Leo, Jupiter and Pisces. And so
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, it's a lot going on. Definitely the wealth, abundance, energy is there. So I feel like I'm really called to talk and teach about wealth, and that's really where I have been at for a while.
Mm,
But with my Venus in Libra too, like
oh, wow.
I actually went to high school. I'm sorry, I went to college for fashion. And so I've been trying to figure out a way of like how do I merge like that fashion aspect into what I was doing. But basically to kind of just sum it up, I'm just realizing that I can kind of like I don't have to just do like one thing, that I can also do things that are related into fashion and
Yes.
somehow add that into the spiritual work that I'm doing, as well as, um, just
Yeah.
basically just doing the multiple things, not just having to do. But I do feel really passionate about like that wealth embodiment and feminine energetics. And so this is just kind of a good reminder of I've been in this phase of like rebranding and repositioning myself. So this whole
Okay.
month of September has been about me just really sitting and tweaking of like what's coming through and what I want to do. So this was just a great reminder to flow, surrender obviously with the intuition of what's coming through, and seeing, all of the things that I am really good at doing, because we're all good at doing these specific things within a chart,
Yeah.
and just not trying to looks or how I need to do it, and just allowing it to come through when it's ready to come through, and not trying to force it to come through right now just because I want to do those things in the long run. Like I can always add on later as I go. It doesn't necessarily
That,
have to be up online as these 50 million different versions of myself or the one self, but these different aspects. I can kind of start one way and then continue to add on, basically.
exactly. Start one way, continue to add on. And I am queen of like multiple streams of income. I love like every woman having different ways that she's pulling in cash and wealth and abundance. So we can always kind of key into those different parts of ourselves. I absolutely love that. Thank you for that share. And then in these last few moments here, since we've got about 7 minutes left, I want to go ahead and just give you guys a few next steps first, and then we'll end with our wealth activation. Super short, sweet, punchy, to the point. Again, because we are in this very potent portal right now, it does not take a lot of energy to call through that wealth activation that we're going with. So just really quickly here. For those of you who are interested in just learning more about this work, if you're interested in the feminine energetics and the wealth embodiment and things like that, this is an invitation for you to learn more about Bloom. So, as I mentioned before, this new moon workshop, the Bloom Collective, is a monthly moon membership for women. A bunch of women on this call are in Bloom. But literally, if you're the kind of woman that is like business, but also spiritual, that is kind of what we do in Bloom. It's like you've got you that business baddie, but you're lighting your candles during work calls. Or you've got those crystals, but they're in your handbag. Or you're really not going to choose between cosmic wisdom and astrology or worldly success. You want both. That's what we do here at Bloom. We gather every new and full moon, this being one of our new moon workshops, and we do a lot with feminine energy, womb work, heart work, understanding that our womb is what connects us to our ancestors and our ancient feminine wisdom, and also holds the power of creativity that's going to help us birth our next level of success. And so literally for the rest of the months of this year in Bloom, every single month between September and January, for the rest of the year going into next, we're going to be doing an Astrology of Wealth New Moon series. We're going to be digging into different parts of our astrology and human design that all have to do with building wealth. Again, because for me, there's way too much going on in the world right now for us not to have our wealth knowledge down. We need to feel safe and comfortable in this world that is acting so wild right now. I love how Sarah said, got those crystals under the monitor. Yeah, you do, girl. That's how we do it here. So if you're interested in knowing more about Bloom, I will send an email after this, just as a follow-up email about the Bloom Collective that you can go ahead and look into. I'll also just put a link in the chat right now to look more into the Bloom Collective. especially if the Astrology of Wealth New Moon series is interesting to you. And then also coming up next year, early next year, I'm going to be doing a whole Astrology of Money course. So everything that we're talking about today, how we just like dipped our little pinky toes into talking about the Jupiter, the second house, the 10th house, going deeper into all of these things that have to do with how to use your own birth chart to look at your money potential. But having said all that, I want to go ahead and go into our wealth activation here in these last few moments. Again, just so that we can really key into the nervous system part of ourselves today. Something that's really important when we are in the position of like building wealth or expanding wealth in our lives. Our nervous system has to be able to hold that. If we are used to living in survival mode, if we are used to living in fight or flight, if we are used to like waking up and anxiety being the overriding feeling that we have for the day, it's really hard to make the room for and literally be able to hold and maintain and expand our capacity to build wealth and create legacy in our lives. And I would say the number one thing over the years that has been important for me when it comes to my own wealth building journey is remembering that our capacity to create wealth, to make money, to create abundance does not come from any external source. It doesn't come from a job or from a partner or from a certain career or a job title that we are connected to. It really comes from our connection to source. Source energy is where abundance comes from, and understanding that our connection to that is how we make our money, not some person or some man or woman or what have you. And I feel like, especially as the next few years roll out, and again, the chaos happens and all the upheaval, I'm not saying that to like be scary. I'm saying that to remind us that like we don't get our money and we don't get our legacy from anything outside of ourselves. We get our money from inside of us. We get our legacy from inside of us. We get all these things from our connection to source energy. So that is what I want to tap into today. So literally in just these next final moments that we have, I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. If it feels good for you, put your hand on your womb space. I like to do the upside down yoni mudra, that upside down triangle on the womb. Maybe you want to do one hand on heart, one hand on womb, just whatever feels good for you in this moment. And I want you just to start breathing first into your heart. Just breathing into your heart. And then I want you to begin breathing into your womb space, breathing into your chalice, your sacred bowl of wisdom, ancient knowledge. Whether you still have your physical womb or not, doesn't matter. You still hold so much power in this space, physically, energetically, spiritually. We literally, ladies, can create life out of this space. We're the only ones that can do so. And we can create our lives. We do create our lives out of this space, out of our sacral. And I want you just to imagine breathing in golden, glittering light into your womb space, just deeply yet gently. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to force yourself to feel anything. Just allowing yourself to be present and conscious with your womb as a creatrix. And as you sit here breathing into your womb space, I want you to think about any codes, any keys, any insights that were delivered into you today. Maybe something about your second house really lit you up. Maybe a detail you learned about your 10th house or your Jupiter. And imagine those little codes, those keys, those little seeds just little golden seeds planted into the soil of your womb space. Anything you heard today, any ideas that started brewing in your mind? Anything about writing or collaborating or building or anything? Any flashes of knowledge or possibilities or opportunities or wisdom? Just let those golden seeds be planted into the soil of your womb. And now I want you to dedicate yourself to commit to one next step. You commit to yourself to take just something easy, something that you intuitively downloaded today. Maybe you thought, oh, I'll reach out to this person about this, or, oh, I'll look into creating this offer in my business, or, oh, I just want to see myself in this new way. I didn't understand I could expand my identity. I want to see myself in this new way as capable of this new thing, whatever it is. What is one next step under this extremely potent portal, this equinox portal, this eclipse portal, this new moon, intention setting energy? What is one step that you, out of devotion and love of yourself and self-worth, you will take in advancement of nourishing and nurturing just one of those seeds that you've planted today, or maybe more? And then once you're ready, once the next step is clear, not fighting it, just letting it come through, I want you to go ahead and just shower those seeds one last time with golden light. And then when you're ready, come back to this present moment. Go ahead and maybe rubbing your womb or your heart, bringing yourself back into your body in the here and now, maybe moving your fingers and your toes. And just coming back to this present moment with this new just promise or commitment that you've made. An advancement of your expansion. Go ahead and come back, open your eyes, turn on your camera if that feels good to you. Nina. And feel free to just come on really quickly so we can say goodbye in these last few moments. Hi, Katie. Good to see you, Sarah. Awesome. Okay, ladies. Well, I want to be respectful of your time and I want to let you go. But thank you so much for an amazing workshop today. For those of you girlies who are in Bloom, I will see you guys in the WhatsApp. And for everyone else watching the replay, I will see you soon. Bye, ladies. Bye. Bye-bye. Sending you all so much love.